Hi, I'm Lisa Allison. I am 33 years old, still single, but I am mum to a dog who I love and adore. I work full-time in comms and marketing, and I own my own house. And yeah, I've been in lockdown on my own with my dog since the middle of March. So yeah, it's like 5 months. Yeah, so it's been a tough time, to be fair. Lockdown, I went into lockdown before actual lockdown because I had symptoms, not actually COVID, but so I had to isolate. And then we went into lockdown, and at first it was quite fun. It was a bit like, yeah, I can, get up in the morning in my PJs and start work. And, I was one of the lucky few to still have a job and be able to work. So I did that, and I got up every morning and sat in my PJs and did work. And it was really good. So the first couple of weeks I was kind of used to it. It was a bit like novel. Quite enjoyed it, to be fair, the first couple of weeks. So after sort of the first 2 weeks, things got a bit boring. Really boring. So I live alone, and my friends are perpetually rubbish with organising anything. So by about like the third week, when I was seeing people like doing team Zoom quizzes with all their friends, like I'd not really spoken to any of my friends, and it had been about 3 weeks, and just trying to organise any time of Zoom call with them is just impossible. So for the whole five months I think I've been in lockdown now, I think I've had 2 FaceTime calls with my friends, and that's been it. So that's been pretty rubbish. So by about the third week it was a bit crap. Sorry, I'm saying crap. By about the third week it was pretty crap, because for me I'll be honest now, I felt quite shitty, because I was seeing like all these people who were like on massive team calls with team friends, and they were like, oh, look at me posting photos on Facebook with their groups of friends. And it was kind of like I hadn't really spoken to anyone in 3 weeks, apart from my mum and dad, who I will come on to in a moment. So the friend side of thing I think has been really tough for me. Like I don't have a lot of friends to start with anyway. So kind of like having to and I don't quite like to force myself on people. So it's like
He's making himself.
That's the dog right there. No, where was I? I was moaning that I've got no friends, right? It's bloody true though. My friends are just rubbish, really. So yeah, seeing everybody have like these nice fun times with all their friends and all this novelty, like, look, I'm on a Zoom quiz. It was like, okay, like I can barely get my friends to text me back, which was kind of fun. But a lot of it is that they're busy. So I've got like my best friend who works in a supermarket as manager. So he was literally rushed off his feet probably the first few weeks when everyone was panic buying toilet roll. And then, my other friend, he works for the government flying planes, very fancy. So he was still working, and he flies all over. So, getting us together is quite difficult. And then my basically only other friend is my cousin, who is, she's not been very well this entire time, not COVID related. So I've not really wanted to bother her. So friends wise, I've not really had anyone to speak to, which sounds really sad, but it was at times. Like, I think at times it was, I don't want to get upset. Oh, sorry. I think at times it was quite lonely. Ooh. In fact, it was really lonely at times. Like, really lonely. I think my dog knows I'm upset.
So you always do.
So quite lonely, to be fair.
You want me to stop at any point?
No, it's fine. I didn't think I'd get upset. Come on.
Hey! There we go. We've got a Brindley in
There
the
we
shop,
go.
which is brilliant.
He'll bugger
He's
off
been
there in a
your
minute.
mate.
Do you know what? Without my dog, and this sounds so stupid because like before I had a dog, I was like, oh, dogs are cute, and now I've got a dog.
The best
I'm
mates.
like, oh my god, my dog is my life. They're like, it's just a dog, and I'm like, that is my child.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyone
and
that says that. doesn't
yeah, and it's just like he's been like, I don't know, he's been the best thing actually, I think, because like there were times when it got really, really monotonous, like constantly the same thing every day. Get up in the morning, have breakfast, sit down to work all day, finish work, sit on my sofa, cuddle my dog, and just sit and watch TV or like read a book, drink copious amounts of wine. Oh dear, like too much wine. And I genuinely actually think that I probably started drinking more because it was almost like, sounds really bad, but I almost like got a buzz from it. Like it was kind of made me happy, and I know that's really bad because I imagine that's what people who have serious abuses, like alcohol abuse issues, have. But it kind of like, it was like my little getaway was like, you know, having a glass of wine and then having a bottle a night, which was like really bad. But I think it kind of like, I think with loneliness, I think that kind of helped. I feel like I'm in a therapy session. It's good to talk. I think at times with the loneliness, it was like really, really tough. So my parents only live a village away, and my sister lives in the same village as me, but my sister, basically we don't talk that much. Like we see each other like when we have to, but we're not like friends. We wouldn't hang out at each other's houses or anything like that. I mean, I love her, like we do see each other and stuff. It's not like I hate you, but we just kind of have our own lives. And she's got her fiance who she lives with, so they kind of like had this little life together. And my mum and dad were shielding, so both of them were on the shielding list. So I couldn't see them. I couldn't go and see them. You know, we sort of FaceTimed for the first few things, you know, first few weeks, but they're quite rubbish on it, FaceTime. They're kind of like, how does this work? So it's like, you know, and I don't know, my relationship with my parents isn't like I wouldn't be like, oh mom, I'm feeling really lonely. It's kind of weird. We're not an open family, which is weird because I'm really open. I'm just like, I'm so sad right now, and it's just, you know, they're not those type of people. So yeah, I didn't really talk to them. Like I spoke to them and said how they were, and I did some food shopping for them and stuff like that. And but yeah, it kind of said something, I think, about my lockdown, when my one highlight of the week was like going food shopping. It meant that I could like get dressed and actually go and have interactions with human beings, because the only interaction I had was literally like the postman and the dog. But my neighbour, actually, to be fair, I moved where I live now probably a year ago, and where I used to live, nobody spoke to anyone, whereas here everyone's really friendly. So I got speaking to my neighbour, who is really lovely, and we were like doing each other's shopping and getting bits for each other and like catching up over the fence, which was actually really nice, because I actually had someone to talk to. I actually had someone to talk to in lockdown, which was quite nice. Oh gosh. And I not actually told anyone this. It was just really rubbish to be alone for 5 months. And like, while I love working from home, like I've got a whole little setup with the desk and everything, and I love the ease of not having to commute an hour there and back every day for work. And, you know, I know you interact with people on work, like in Teams calls and that type of thing, but it's just not the same having like social type of thing. So having a neighbour who was really lovely and I could chat to was really nice. But But yeah, I think living alone, I'd say it's 50-50% amazing and 50-50% just awful, because the first 50% of living alone is like, I can do what I want, I can do when I want, I don't have children who are screaming while I'm trying to work, I don't have to answer to people, I can walk around my house butt naked if I wanted to. But then the other half is that loneliness, is that you don't really see people, you don't really talk to people. You know, I've got my dog for company, which I suppose is the good side of things. But
he's being director now.
yeah, he's like, talk to me, mum, talk to me. He's very needy. Things are starting to improve now, especially as like lockdowns eased. So one of my friends who she actually lives a town over from me. We walk our dogs together. So we've started seeing each other again and going for dog walks, which has been really nice actually. So we've been chatting and seeing each other. And we're actually planning to go out to dinner this month at some point. So that's been nice. My parents and my dad and my sister and everybody I've seen now. We've had barbecues, social distancing in the garden. Like, I remember when the government was just like, single people can now go to other people's homes. And I literally just was like, they can go and see each other from the Friday. And I remember it being the Wednesday and I was just like, Mum, I'm coming around your house now. I was just coming round, and it's just, I remember like going and hugging Mum for like the first time. I mean, don't tell anyone because she's still shielding at the time. But no, so they were coming out of shielding. So it didn't really matter, but kind of like just seeing them for the first time and like being able to like being able to like hug them for the first time was amazing after like 4 months not seeing them or like touching them or anything. And my dad's not a hugger, but he gave me a really big hug, which was nice. I mean, granted, they hugged the dog first and then hugged me. But it was just, yeah, it was really nice actually. And there are still times when it's really lonely, but I think a lot of that comes from just living alone, because it's like you're always alone, and you know, I can't go out and do things that I would want to do. Like, I can't, you know, my friends live in Leicester, so I can't go see them in Leicester, which is fun because that's where they all live. And I can't go see them now, and it's, you know, they're busy with work and just trying to organise things. I mean, we finally organised a date to actually see each other in 2 weeks, and it's kind of those little things that you like look forward to. So it's looking forward to seeing your friends and planning things. But it sounds really odd, but I know being alone can be really lonely, but at times it's almost like you get stuck in a rut of like your own little world, and you're kind of like, sorry, I just touched the mic. I'll start that bit again. What was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, it's about like you almost, because you live alone and you're so used to living alone, it's almost being like stuck in this little rut of like just you and your little loneliness. But sometimes you don't even feel lonely, you're just content with your own company. And then it's like someone's like, oh, you should come out, and it's like, no, like your immediate response is, oh, I don't want to go. A perfect example of this is one of the guys at work, him and his partner were going on their first little camping trip over to Derbyshire, and they were like, you should come for the day with the dog and go for a walk. And he's probably going to see this, and I didn't tell him this, but I actually didn't want to go because I just felt like, I felt quite overwhelmed. Like I was a bit like, oh, I don't really want to go. And I tried to sort of wiggle out of it, and I tried to use like money as an excuse. And, you know, it was the end of the month, so yeah, money was tight. But yeah, he was like, no, you've got to come, da 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 da. And I'm so glad that he dragged me, because I had literally the best day. I remember coming home like genuinely happy with a big smile on my face, and I literally texted all my friends. I was like, when are we meeting up? What are we doing? Da da da. And kind of that forced interaction with people made me realise how much I miss that interaction, because I'd been alone for so long. you kind of forget what having fun is like, because you're so used to binge watching Netflix on telly while you drink a whole bottle of wine and eat an entire share bag of chocolate buttons. It's just, it's just tough. And oh my gosh,
Dan will see that and won't mind because he knows what the answer is.
oh he knows. Dan at work has been amazing. Like, he's one of those people that I speak to, like, you know, like last year when I bought my first house and I had some like real anxiety. I just started a new role at my job and it was just really tough, and I didn't say I got quite depressed. I got depressed, and he was really good about it. And then I kind of like cheered up a bit. I lost some weight. I got better with myself. I spoke to friends. I sought counselling, and then all of a sudden coronavirus hits, lockdown happens, and I just took this humongous jump back to being like anxious, being like sad and lonely, and then being like, you know, it was kind of like, there's a difference when you're like isolating yourself and you'll be like, oh, I'm isolating, and then being told that you actually can't see people. Like, for someone who like gets depression or anxiety, it's actually a bit of a godsend, but then it's not good, because then you're kind of stuck in your own little brain of like, oh, I'm really sad, I'm really lonely, like, woe is me, and then woe is me, and then you don't want to talk to people or bother people because they're like, you feel like they're in their own little space, like, you're like, oh, I don't want to bother them, like, you know, if I'm feeling rubbish. So I think that's probably one of my downfalls. If I'd reached out to people and been like, look, I am feeling sad, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling, you know, down, then I think if I reached out to those people, they would have been like, you know, they would have rallied round, but you feel like you're a bit of a burden, so you don't want to. I mean, now I'm in a much better place now, like, and I think that's why I can easily talk about it, because, you know, I've already spoken to some friends about this and told them actually, you know, how lockdown was, you know, how it was for me really. And I think the difficulty has been is you have to kind of understand that everybody has had a different lockdown. It's not like all lonely people have been all single people have been lonely, and it's not like all families have had the worst time and it's been screaming children while they're trying to work. It's, you know, and I don't think anybody's had it worse than others, unless obviously those that have, you know, been affected by coronavirus directly. But, you know, you think you don't want to kind of bug people and be like, oh, you know, I'm feeling really sad or really down, and they're just like, well, I'm feeling this. And it's kind of like, you know, you want to be able to have those conversations, but you always kind of make up these like scenarios where, you know, they're people aren't going to be bothered or they're not going to care, but actually, like, when you tell them, they do care. If that makes sense.
Well, I listened to that, and I think you and I have messaged probably, half a dozen times throughout the
I've
day?
messaged you probably more than my friends, and that is genuinely.
But every time you've told me you're okay.
Yeah.
But had you have told me you weren't, so I've listened.
Yeah.
This isn't me telling you off. I'm just kind of saying that. It's
Brinley.
like, you've just said it's like if you told people you don't want to feel like you were a burden.
Yeah.
Had you have been a bit more honest with me,
Yeah.
I would have. Do you know what? I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
Feels
Sorry.
Like I'm telling you off.
No, you're not telling me off at all, and I completely get that.
I just it kind of makes me feel very guilty, and I feel like
No.
as a friend, I feel like
See,
I've missed
this is
something.
what I hate. I don't want people, gosh,
Yeah,
they've not
yeah.
put makeup on.
I feel like I've let you down.
No, and that's what I don't want to do, is like, I don't want anyone to feel that way. I find it, unless put in a situation like this, where I kind of feel like, oh, I'm going to talk about it. It's kind of like, I agreed to do this because I was like, I'm going to be open and honest about actually how shit lockdown was for me. And I was kind of prepared to talk about it. And until I'm sorry, I'm really shouting. Until I'm prepared to talk about it, it's just something that I don't like to talk about. It's kind of like, people are like, oh, are you okay? How are you? And I'm just like, it's just easier to just go, yeah, I'm okay, thanks, how are you, than to sort of be like, actually, I'm in a really crap place right now, and I just don't want to feel like a burden. And it's completely my own thing that, you know, I never want people to feel like, oh, I should have done more. And it's like, it's not that case. Like, I'm just as loud and as brash and in your face as I am. I'm actually quite an insecure person at times, and quite, you know, I don't have a massive group of friends, and, you know, I've got a big family, which we're really close to, and which is nice. But, you know, I don't know, I don't know, it's tough. Like, and Dan's a friend at work, who you know, Dan at work, he's the same. He's like, just tell me you're in a really rubbish place. And, you know, I have been honest with some people, especially at work, because I feel like my work friends, my work colleagues have become almost like better friends than I have some of my external friends. Sorry guys if you see this, but, you know, I feel like I could open up to more of them than I have some of my closest friends who I wouldn't message and be like, I'm feeling really rubbish. But with the sort of the work people, and I think it's easier as well when you know people are sort of feeling similar, or they're feeling the same, or yeah, it's easier when you know that kind of others are feeling similar as well, because then you almost feel like it's a shared experience and you're not burdening them because you can both discuss it. Whereas, like, if you see people who are like really happy and you're kind of like, oh, I kind of don't want to spoil their happiness, but he's trying to bite your hand. It takes a lot, I think, for people to actually open up and have an honest conversation. It's like, you know, almost that sort of like greeting is, hi, how are you, is almost been watered down to just, I'm not really bothered, but, you know, I sort of am, but I'm not, but I don't want you to kind of, you know, give me your life because I'm not really ready to talk about it either. It's almost just been like a, hey, how are you, passing like conversation. And it's like, you are genuinely like, how are you, but, you know, you never feel that you can then be like, do you know what, actually, XYZ is completely awful at the minute. This is how I'm feeling. This is rubbish. I'm not enjoying this. And blah, 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 blah. Because you just feel like you've just gone, at someone, and they're like, whoa, okay, like, oh. And then, yeah, like, for example, Dan from work is amazing at listening. He's amazing at understanding. You know, I've got that one friend who is absolutely, I know that I could go to him and say, do you know what, I'm feeling rubbish right now, and he would understand because he's had that shared experience. But then I've got other people in my life, other friends who are, it's gonna sound really mean, not as emotionally in tuned. I was going to put emotionally stunted, but that's really mean. I've got friends that are basically, you know, not as emotionally in tuned, and if you tell someone you're feeling really sad and you're feeling down and you're feeling lonely, the last thing you want for them is to go like, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. And I'm like, thanks, everything's okay now. It's like, that's just not how it works. It's like, you almost sometimes just want people to just listen, to just say, talk to me, tell me what's wrong. We don't, I would never go to someone and be like, I'm feeling really sad, I'm feeling really lonely, and expect them to fix it. I would rather them just listen to me and, if they wanted to, try and help me to come up with things that could possibly change it. But, I think it depends who you talk to in your life. And, because my family's not massively open either, they're not like, let's talk about our feelings. It's kind of like, we don't really talk about feelings. But I know that if I went to them and told them that I was really sad and upset, they would, I think my dad would just be like, oh, okay, like, are you okay? But then mum would be she's a bit more emotionally intuitive. But yeah, it's, I don't know. It's, Brinley, do you want a treat? I'll shut him up. Yeah. He's a little idiot, bless him.
So does the way you feel now, does that make you fearful about working from home longer term?
Yes and no. So I've said, no matter if we have to basically work from home 5 days a week, I will not like that at all. Like that's one of the things about me is, although like I can be quite a lonely, quite isolated person at times, I actually love company. I love being with people. I love talking to people. I love social events. But I'm almost like an introverted extrovert, which sounds really odd, but it's like I kind of am. It's very odd. But in social situations, I'm like, yeah, woo. But so that's why I love being in the office, because it's that banter, it's the catching up, it's the talking, it's the jokes that we used to have. Now meetings are meetings, they're all work, work, work. I mean, one of the good things we've done at work is every Friday we have a pub session. So about 5 o'clock we all meet on Teams and we have a drink, and it's been really nice actually having that sort of social element of it. It's been good to sort of hear about how everyone's coping, what they're all doing. But going forward, like, I'd like to work from home most of the time. Yeah, I'm happy to do sort of 3 days a week from home, but ideally I would like to be able to go into the office, at least 1 or 2 days a week, just to have that interaction with people. I mean, I know things are going to ease and you'll be able to see your friends more and, that type of thing, but ultimately, work people are the people you see more than anyone else, or obviously, unless, you've got someone at home, then you probably see them the most, but I don't. So it's my work people and my dog who I see the most. So I would like to be able to see them in the flesh, to talk to them, to go out on lunch breaks with someone and talk to them and, just have that, and but at the same time be able to work from home, because although it's been quite lonely, I think actually the working from home hasn't been the lonely bit. I could probably work from home 5 days a week if everything else surrounding it was normal, so that you could go out, you could see your friends, you could do X, Y, Z, which I know that you can do now, but I mean I don't feel comfortable going out to restaurants yet. It's not something I fancy doing yet. I'm a bit like, no. But I could do it if everything was normal, but it's not. Everyone's still cautious. People still don't want to see each other. One of my friends who is paranoid, doesn't want to see people, not even in the garden, so I can't see her. The other one lives in Leicester, so I think they're still on lockdown. I don't know, so I can't go see them. And it's like, I could do it working from home all the time if, life outside was normal, but it's not, and I don't think it will be for a very long time. So no, I don't want to work from home all the time. But yes, I would like to do it quite a bit of the time, if that makes sense.
So you've had quite a lot of time to reflect, clearly. Has any of that been positive about how you might move forward?
Yeah, yes and no. So I mean, I got to a point where, I'll be honest, I think I was using alcohol as a cushion. I was drinking a bottle of wine a night, 6 nights a week, without fail. And then it got to the point where I'd been drinking for about an entire month, every day. I mean, even on one day I didn't drink, I probably still had a glass of wine, but I'd have a bottle every day, and it was like, I got to that point where I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I kind of had a bit of an epiphany. I'd been eating rubbish, I'd stopped working out, I was drinking loads of alcohol, and I was just really down and anxious and wasn't having a good time. So I kind of like took some steps. I don't know what it did. I just kind of woke up one day, and I think, if I'm honest, I think I woke up hungover and I felt awful, and I was just like, I need to stop this. So I managed to cut down my alcohol, which is something that I've been really proud of. But one of the things I'm definitely going to keep going forward is I I started meditating, which I know sounds, I know people are like, oh, meditation, but it's actually been amazing for me. So every night before I go to bed, I just do a little meditation, like one of those ones where they're just like, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, little 10-15 minute thing. And it's amazing how, I mean, I think a part of that helped me really get out of my, I don't think I had depression, but I would get out of my funk. It's sort of like, it helped me calm my anxiety, and, you know, it helped me sort of stop with some of the bad habits. So like I would be, a perfect example is, it's 6:30 right now. Old me would have basically had a glass of wine, probably when I finished work at 5. And then if I didn't have wine in the house, I would be anxious that I didn't have wine in the house, which is really unhealthy. So the meditation kind of helped to sort of stop that anxiety. So that's something I definitely want to keep going forward, is, you know, sort of that meditation training and doing that. And that's something I've really enjoyed. One thing I thought I would do in lockdown, but I haven't done, is work out. So I love home workouts, but I've just not had them. Yes, I love you. I love you too. Yes. You're a good boy. You are. You're also an idiot. Yes, you are.
I just think it'll be a small part of this with jumping on.
Oh, God. This is, he's just smacking you in the face with his tail. Binley, you're so rude.
I don't mind.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, I don't know. It's tough, because it's like, that's one of the things personally I'll probably take forward. But he's literally just sitting on your head. He wanted to give you a kiss then, little minger. No kissy faces. Go on then, give kisses.
Give me a kiss.
You're going to give me one?
Yeah.
Come here, yeah, Bubbles. I love you so much.
Anyone needs to see Brindley.
Do you want to see Brindley?
Yeah.
Here he is.
He's kept you going.
He has. He's also the biggest idiot in the world. Barks at everything, don't you? You love me? Do you? Do you love me? It's like, no, I just want to run around. What is out there? Oh, yes, tired. Thank you. Go on then, down you go. Good boy. Yeah, and God, yeah, he's been like my absolute rock this entire time. I can't imagine. I think I'd be a lot worse if I lived on my own during lockdown with no one, because it sounds really stupid, but like, I talk to my dog. Yeah, I talk to my dog. I don't have conversations, but like, oh, hello, Brindley, how's your day going? Oh, yours is going well, thank you. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But just having that little fluffy creature to look after, and, you know, being able actually to take him for walks every day has been amazing, because where I lived in the countryside, so I can walk him in the woods, which has been great, because that's, I think, helped me from not getting to the point where I'm like really depressed, really serious, because actually I'm going out and walking every day. I'm in the countryside, you know, I've got my dog who I like to cuddle, you know, but I think sometimes it's worse when you're trying to cuddle. You're like, oh, I'll cuddle my dog, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm so alone. Like, I'm cuddling my dog, that's all I have. That's really bad. That's really bad. But, you know, he's been a little trooper, really. And there's things I want to change. I am in a better place now. Like, now that I'm seeing friends more, you know, now that I can see my family every day if I wanted to. You know, I've got my meditation down to a T. My eating is healthier, so I'm starting to lose some weight after putting on a ridiculous amount of stones during lockdown. So yeah, it's been good. These last few weeks have been really good, and I feel better in myself, she says, as she just sobbed for the last 10 minutes. But yeah, I don't know what I'd take going forward, because I don't feel like we're at a part where we can go forward. Like, I know things are opening, and, you know, people are trying to get back to normal, and it's like, you know, people are going on holidays, and I'm just like, so what? You're going where? I feel like, you know, we're still getting cases, we're still having deaths, and it's like, I don't feel ready to sort of step out into that world. And, you know, and that's not me being like, oh, I don't want to see anybody. It's me being like, no, I don't think now is the right time. So it's like I don't think life going forward is ever going to be the same, but, you know, there's adjustments that I can possibly make to make my future working from home easier. You know, like, I think I probably need to do more workouts because I know that working out makes me feel good. Also helps me lose weight, obviously. I need to stop relying on my weekly food shop to be my only source of entertainment for the entire week. I mean, I would literally get dressed up. I'd be like, I'm going to wear these little heels to go food shopping in. And it's just, what are you doing? I do my hair, do my makeup, and, you know, it's just, I was like the only outside world I'd have, and I'd spend ages in there just like mooching around, be like, oh, I'm out in the world. Now I do that at B&M and Dunelm Mill, and I go to all the shops as well now. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to be in the future. I don't know what's going to be different, and I think my one fear is that we then go back down into another lockdown, and it's a proper lockdown, because, you know, like they're talking at the moment about over 50s and 60s not being allowed out and having to shield again. Well, that puts my parents in that sort of group. So does that mean I then can't see them again? And actually, at the moment, they're, apart from sort of one or two friends, they're my main source of interaction, which has been really nice. We've had some barbecues together, and, you know, we've had some really good nights where we've just had fun, and it's been lovely. But, you know, I would hate to think that, you know, because my parents are over 50, they've now got to stay indoors, when actually you look at a lot of the people who are causing the issues, and it's a lot of young people, you know, because I think there's that mentality that, oh, I'm young, I'm invincible, it's only the old and sick that are dying. But that's just not the case. You know, you could have it and then pass it to someone who then dies, and you could spread it to others. And it's, yeah, and it's, you know, they're sort of, I don't know, I understand they're trying to protect the over 50s, but for me, I would hate for that to happen, for them to have to go into a lockdown because, you know, because I, you know, it's my parents, they're the people that I see the most. So I think that's my fear, is it happening again, us being put in lockdown and having to sort of go through it again. Because like now, although in my mind, if someone's like, do you want to go out? I sort of question about it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Do I want to? But at the same time, now I've sort of had that initial taste of interaction with people, and I've visited and I've gone like to see friends. I'm now like, friends, let's all meet up. What do we want to do? I'm actively like, you know, trying to engage with people. So I'd hate to go back into a lockdown to the point where I can't see people again, because I don't think I'm probably in the right mental place for that to happen again, because I'm kind of just coming out of being really down and really sad and really lonely, to having little moments of happiness when I'm drinking wine. But coming out of that to then go back into another lockdown, I don't want to regress, really. And I think that's my main fear, I think. I don't know. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I don't know.
Better?
What, like now?
Just for talking.
God, yeah. Yeah, much better. Yeah. You are cheaper than therapy.
I'll be here this time next week. I won't bring the camera next time.
No, it sounds... I'll be honest with you, I've not told anyone this the whole of lockdown, and I don't know why I'm telling it now. I think it's because you're doing something where you want... I don't know why I'm getting upset about this. You're doing something where you want people to see what it was realistically like for people in lockdown. And for some single people, especially ones who already quite suffer with depression and anxiety, and actually for some single people like me, being alone was awful. You know, it was really terrible. And you see people, you know, with their friends and family, and they're moaning like, oh, I'm having to be with them every day. And I'm like, imagine being completely alone for 5 months, having nobody to really talk to and nobody to see. You know, I get you've had a tough time, and I completely sympathise that you've had a really tough time as well, but just because I'm single and can do what I want, and, you know, it's like, oh, you live alone, you can do what you want. It's not all fun. It's not like, oh, yeah, it's great. It's actually like, you know, it's tough, you know, not speaking. There would be days where I'd go like probably 3 or 4 days without speaking to anyone. And I mean literally phone calls. I'd have no meetings in the calendar, so I'd just be cracking on with work. You know, there'd be days where I literally wouldn't speak to anybody other than the dog. And, you know, it's all right having a dog to talk to, but they can't talk back to you. It's not stimulating. It's not that interaction that you need. So I don't know whether I would prefer to have been with someone the entire time. You know, I could have moved back into my parents and stayed with them the entire time, but I think they would have driven me crazy, so probably not. You know, I have my own house. I love my house. I'm lucky that I've got jobs within the house that needed doing, so actually on weekends, because weekends I think were the hardest, because Monday to Friday you would see people on Teams, you'd be working, you'd be busy from, you know, it's been so busy that you'd be busy from like 9 until 6, 7 o'clock at night, so it was fine. But on the weekends, when, you know, you didn't really have anyone to talk to, you didn't see anyone, it was actually nice for me personally to have work to be able to do that, you know, to have a dog that I had to walk. What? Why don't you go out? Who's that? Who's that? Who's outside? Oh my gosh, go get them, yeah. Oh, no one. No? Oh, okay. He's not stupid.
No, he really isn't.
No. But yeah, it's, yeah, I think if I didn't have a house that I was doing up at the same time as being in lockdown, I think weekends would have been, I think it would have been harder for me in lockdown, because my weekends I would have literally had nothing to do other than sit on my own in isolation watching TV. And, you know, I was lucky that I was able to keep busy, otherwise it would have been a lot worse. And, you know, I know people have had a tough time as well. I know it's not all woe is me, and, you know, I know that there'll be people out there who are actually worse off than me. But, you know, it's the first half of lockdown. I'd say the first 3 or 4 months were really, really, really rubbish. Like, really rubbish. You know, and I'm lucky that I still have a job. You know, I know there are people who didn't have a job and didn't have that, and I know I moaned at times that people who were furloughed basically had an extended holiday. But actually, I would have hated to have been furloughed. You know, to not have a purpose to get up every morning and to do something, and actually, you know, not have to set an alarm to be like, right, I've got to get up, I've got to do work, I've got to do this. And actually work, I'd say, has probably kept me sane this entire time, because, you know, I've had that routine. Yes, at times it got monotonous. You know, yes, at times my routine was get up, work, sit on my sofa in the evening and do absolutely nothing else. But then at other times, you know, I think like, where would I be without you? Little sausage. Yeah.